Spirit Lake and Cherokee Community School Districts sent letters to parents recently explaining that they were backtracking on their new security measures of letting trained staff carry a firearm because their insurance companies threatened to pull their policies over it. The threats brought the weapons policies up for a vote, and both boards voted to strike them after they'd barely begun. Before I get into the details on this latest jab at freedom, this video is brought to you today by Blackout Coffee Company. You know them, you love them, they love good coffee, and they love the Second Amendment. To support your favorite gun rights groups, veterans, and the channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/libertydoll. Spirit Lake staff have been carrying since February after the board voted last August to allow trained staff to carry as part of the school security. They drew up an entire safety plan that armed up to 10 teachers in each school. The Cherokee Community School Board approved armed teachers in October. Both districts cited the shooting at Uvalde as the reason for the new safety measures. Which, pretty valid. In early spring, the insurance carrier for both districts, EMC, told the schools that they would have higher deductibles, increased rates, and would even lose parts of their coverage under the new safety plans. These schools continued to allow their staff to carry because what price can you really put on the value of protecting children? Both schools spent $30,000 on additional training for staff, concealed carry gear, weapon safes, and even mental health evaluations and drug screenings for the teachers who would be carrying. These safety plans also called for annual training and assessments to make sure that staff continued to be fit to be armed. There is no dollar amount that can be placed on protecting our staff and students' lives, officials said. But then in May, the insurance company issued them a non-renewal notice, and that is apparently where the buck stops. Both districts voted to revoke these safety plans last week. EMC said that allowing trained staff to carry doesn't meet their underwriting guidelines, meaning that these schools were being dropped due to it being too much of a financial risk for the company. However, the Spirit Lake rep, John Wills, says that that was just the token excuse, that the insurance company was really caving to social pressures and was thus trying to force the schools to do the same. It certainly struck up an interesting debate in their local politics as the bake the cake bigot crowd is suddenly all for private businesses making their own decisions around who to do business with. Because making decisions not to work with a customer over their beliefs around guns is a virtue and a sign of moral superiority, while declining to bake someone a cake due to religious views makes you the scum of the earth and therefore subject to slave labor. Spirit Lake rep John Wills accused EMC of trying to dictate district rules. They're not giving us a fiduciary reason for dropping the insurance, they just dropped it, and it appears that they dropped the insurance because of social reasons, he said. Meanwhile, Democrats have had a change of heart because this time it suits them and are arguing that private companies have every right to decline business, which is true but historically has not been the party line. They didn't change anything. What changed was the school, and so you know they were well within their rights to deny the insurance, says State Rep Amy Nielsen. For what it's worth, school officials say that they tried to find other policies, and believe it or not, arming teachers wasn't the linchpin for most other companies. Within the market, our agent has been able to secure quotes for most lines of coverage, including staff firearm legal liability, the district's letter stated. Unfortunately, as of June 22nd, there was no quote for first-party property insurance. Bottom line is, at this time, there is not a new viable option in the insurance market other than EMC for our district insurance coverage. EMC has declined to provide a more detailed reason for revoking coverage despite several requests from officials. They did, however, provide a statement to local news saying that they simply refused to cover civilian gun use and that the schools knew this when adopting the new policy. EMC told the Des Moines Register that if a school decides to have security, the insurance company requires that that security is provided by law enforcement and law enforcement only. You know, law enforcement like the officers at Uvalde. As we have told the schools since the beginning of last school year, for schools that choose to provide on-site security, we ensure those who utilize uniformed, qualified law enforcement officers, including school resource officers. This does not encompass armed teachers or staff. But they did agree to continue the policy if the schools voted armed teachers back down, and so that's what happened. Legislation armed at forcing businesses to make decisions financially rather than by social equity or diversity factors was introduced but failed last session. This most recent incident has made some lawmakers suggest it will be brought back up in January. Iowa State Code does allow teachers to carry, but those two districts have so far been the first and only to actually utilize the rule. After this little insurance debacle, I'm not sure any others will. Spirit Lake's superintendent says he continues to support arming teachers and hopes they'll be able to find a way to bring back their safety plans in the future. The district's implemented solution was based on math, time, and real statistical data demonstrating the sooner an active shooter is addressed, the more innocent lives are saved, says Superintendent David Smith in the letter that he sent to parents. In my opinion, we had a plan that was second to none. I continue to ask this. In the horrific event that we have an active shooter in our district, what would you want? A highly trained individual who is present, capable, and willing to step in quickly between the bad guy and your child, or would you prefer to wait the minutes it will take for a dispatch responder to arrive? A responder that we've seen might not actually respond. And so that right there is the question behind every gun owner's choice to carry. That is it for this video, guys. Please do all the algorithm things, ring the notification bell if you haven't already, because otherwise YouTube will almost never tell you when I have a new video. Don't forget to check out today's sponsor, and as always, thanks for tuning in, and happy shooting.